to respond to that because it has not been brought to my notice area, but KVDA is actually an agency or parastatal under the Ministry of East Africa Community, Regional Development, and ASALS. And they would have the details of that particular problem. But Honorable Senator can also write to me, and maybe, or to myself and the Minister for East Africa Region, and give us these details, and then we can try to help and resolve the problem. I don't know whether it's a problem where the dam has gone encroached. You know, sometimes dams exceed the area of the design, therefore a redesign may be necessary. It could be a case where maybe compensation is not complete, or a case where people are trying to use the dam to get the land, or use the land that has already been purchased around the dam. I think I will leave it to you, but you can write to the two ministries for better responses. Overall, Your Honorable Speaker, I was asked about recovery of other public lands. Honorable Speaker, let me say that we are in the process of discussing with the Office of the President through hopes, and we intend to move the cabinet for a resolution to allow the minister to request for all ministries to forward their public lands that are in danger or have been encroached or have been grabbed, so that holistically I can address all of them, because it's not possible for the Minister of Lands to know which land has been encroached or has been grabbed. But I think it is, as a government, we have a duty. As a ministry, I have a responsibility to assist the government to protect and recover and document public land existing and what may have been taken away, and recover as much as we can, including prosecution of people who have been found to have stolen public land. Obviously, you see, even the Minister for Lands is not safe, because this particular parcel that Tomboya Socio is on belongs to the Ministry of Public Works. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, when I went to Kwale, to Kitare, I want to confirm that Kitare prison, is it the medium or maximum, is sitting on an individual's parcel of land. So I'm also proceeding to cancel those, because the prisons itself is sitting on land that has been grabbed, over 3,000 parcels of land. So it is not an easy matter. We have to do what is right, and the support of Parliament, including these kind of questions, is helpful. Thank you.
Senator Mandago, you are on the queue at the top. Maybe you can ask your question. But I don't know, you have a problem with that box. It's possible.
Maybe the clerks can assist me with my card. Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I have, I don't know whether it's a question or a suggestion to the Cabinet Secretary. On this digitization, Honorable Speaker, I'd like to ask the Cabinet Secretary, what happens with lands that are there are disputes during digitization process? And I ask that because, Honorable Speaker, there is a land in question in Uasin Gishu County between the people of Uasin Gishu, the county government of Uasin Gishu, and the Department of Defense. But during digitization, you know, a title that was fraudulently acquired was also digitized. So my request to the Honorable CS is, during digitization, I think all lands under dispute should not be digitized, because digitizing is further giving legitimacy, you know, to the fraudulently acquired titles. Number two, Honorable Speaker, the CS has said she's constrained in terms of budget for titling of schools. Honorable Speaker, it is my view that now that schools receive even capitation for operations, and it only costs a maximum of 20,000 to actually get a title deed, schools should actually be asked to process their own titles. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Did I hear the Senator is proposing that we ask the schools to process their own titles? I think then that would require me to move back to the cabinet to have the cabinet resolve to do that. I don't see a big problem in the government. The schools are properties of the government, actually. The land is not necessarily in the name of school. It's reserved for that school, but the titles belong to the National Treasury, and they are registered in the name of National Treasury. So I think for us to assist to proceed to do that is important. And you also know that that is the only way we can be able to assure the validity, the sizes, the survey integrity, and therefore I think it's not a bad thing that the ministry is the one that is finally doing it. You can imagine this is since 1960. This has not been done, so I think we will not be able to leave to the schools. Again, some of the people around the schools are the ones who have grabbed some of the school land. In that process, we'll be able to return any grabbed land. On the question on digitization, what happens to parcels that may be having disputes or have titles or records that are in dispute or are under interrogation and investigation? First, we capture the records that we have. But capturing the records we have by scanning and putting them in as part of our digitization does not mean we will be hindered from interrogating those documentations. But also the KDF land, I think you are referring to the KDF land. We have cancelled all those titles, so we don't longer have any problem. But where we have captured the wrong or disputed land, maybe it is in court, and then we get the new record or other records to say otherwise, other than what is in our digital system, we will move to put that as part of our record, and it is possible within that, because as we digitize, we are also using the land laws that exist. So I don't think there is going to be any compromise or danger in our work.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Ososi. Godfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have two questions, two supplementary questions to this.
Choose the one which is heavy, the one which is you consider only one supplementary.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the CS the compensation plan they have on lands which were compulsorily acquired by the government before the onset of devolution. I am saying this because, Mr. Speaker, there is a sad case of an old man who died 4 years ago and is still lying in the morgue from a place called Kegoye within Vihiga municipality. What happened, Mr. Speaker, is that when Vihiga was gazetted as a district by the then President Moi, there were some people who were relocated to create space for the construction of the district headquarters. And this old man was one of them. They were relocated to a place in Lugari Forest. And when they went there, they found that the land had complication. So they returned back to their original land. They have stayed there for years. The old man died there. When he died, they took the body to the morgue, but they could not bury because the county government contested and said that that land is within the Vihiga municipality. Up to date, the body of the old man is still lying in the morgue. I brought this matter when I was in the National Assembly in 2021. And the then CS for Lands, Madam Karonei, made a commitment to Parliament that the matter was going to be resolved in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, it is now approaching 2.5 years. Nothing has been done. What is the CS aware of this matter, and what specific action is she going to take to address this matter so that this family can bury their old man as soon as possible and stop incurring mortuary fees, given that this family even though the county government has refused them to bury their dead, they are still occupying the land to date.
Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not aware of that particular matter. I would request for maybe the Honorable Senator if it is him who had asked the question, to send me a copy of the question and the answer that we gave, if you have. But I will also, because I have my Chief Land Registrar, Mr. Nyandoro, here with me, I will ask him to take up and check the records, and if there is something I can do, depending on the commitment that the minister made, because I believe she made on behalf of the ministry, I will action on the matter. However, I think also the county and yourself, Honorable Speaker, with the greatest respect, I think it's a matter that the county should have been able to resolve and help the family. But I will, on my part, see why the minister had said she would be in a position to deal with the matter and revert back to the Honorable Senator, not necessarily on the floor, but I can get back to him with the relevant answer. Thank you.
Yeah, I advise that Senator Sosi, you can approach the ministry anytime to the CS office and see how you can be able to revive that issue. According to the answers the CS is giving, definitely she will be able to sort that matter. The way she had sorted the Tomboya Hall, Community Hall. What is it again, Senator Sosi?
Mr. Speaker, I think because the matter was raised in the last parliament, where I served with the CS, and the answers were provided by the then CS, I think they need to check their files. They will be able to get the answers. But I will oblige to provide the responses to the CS, what they gave them.
If you want to help those people, don't refer the CS to the files. Just initiate your own. Do an initiative with the CS and she will be able to assist you. But if you refer to the files, you know, and she has directed you to see her in the office and say you can sort out the matter, I think that is fair enough.
Well guided. Mr. Speaker, I will make an effort to see the CS over that.
Senator Roba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. First of all, I want to congratulate the Cabinet Secretary for a job well done. We can see the output of your ministry. I'm even sure Senator Sifuna was surprised that you gave a straight answer on his issue. Mr. Speaker, I have one question. On this particular issue on shared functions, we have shared functions under housing, under public works, and my question is, at what point is the ministry actually going to initiate a program of releasing the assets to the counties in terms of the shared, in terms of the functions that have been devolved? There are some functions that have been devolved, they've gone down to counties, but some of the assets are still on national level. So is there an intention to actually release those assets to the counties so that the counties can be able to have control over the issues that have been devolved? And Mr. Speaker, you know, we are all equal senators, and understanding Order 101, it is not proper for a senator to impute improper motive. I'm not a heckler. As you can see, my contributions are valid. So I think Senator Sifuna should understand that we are all equal, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Roba.
We are contributing.
Senator Roba, you have asked your question to the CS. So do you want the CS also to comment on the issues that you are accusing Senator?
No, I've asked the question, but I wanted to pass the message on record.
Just raise your question at that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
The Honorable Senator Gloria is asking about the shared functions and the assets transfer of, I think, are you referring to transfer of functions or transfer of assets? For assets, the national government is working holistically to see what assets should be transferred And because I know even as we sit, most of the assets belong to the national government. They have not completely yet been transferred, but there is, including functions, there is a team that is working on the transfer of both functions and assets. So I want to believe that that will eventually find its way to Parliament when the final list is done. It's not a very simple exercise, and therefore it requires time. Thank you.
Let's get the last supplementary question from Senator Mwinyaji. I can see 3 more senators are still on the queue, and then I'll give you an opportunity after we ask question number 017. So we make some progress, Senator Onyonka. You'll have an opportunity still to ask your supplementary question. Senator
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mohamed Faki.
My question is with regard to historical land justices in Mombasa. Last week, and I think part of this week, the National Land Commission has been holding hearings in Mombasa in regards to historical land injustices. And on Friday last week, they made decisions that have created panic, fear, and despondency to the residents of Mombasa, especially within the island where many are not sure of their residences or places where they have stayed for almost 100 years. Initially, during the colonial administration, we had the system of liwalis. And the liwalis were registered by virtue of their positions as trustees on behalf of the residents. However, when the liwalis passed on, these properties were transferred or were inherited through the succession system, and now are no longer public or public properties, but they have now ended up in the hands of the relatives of the liwalis. And this one has caused a lot of problems because they are charging a minimum of 5 million for a plot measuring 50 by 80 or 50 by 100 within the central business district. So, Madam CS, we wanted to know what is the government doing to assure these residents of their residences, and also to resolve this long-standing problem that has affected Mombasa Island, and also part of Kisauni and parts of Changamwe and Likoni areas of Mombasa County. Thank you.
Honorable CS.
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Senator, is it for Mombasa? Yes, has raised a very important question, and I believe that that question is not a supplementary question. It requires to be put in writing so that I can be able to respond to you, especially noting that the activities that you have referred to are activities being carried out by the National Land Commission. You know, National Land Commission is also an independent body, but we work together. Sometimes they are able to consult, and sometimes I'm also able to consult them. So I would, with the permission of the Speaker, I would request that that question be forwarded formally, either through the Senate or directly to the Cabinet Secretary, and I try to answer, because it's not necessary that if I can answer, I don't have to come to answer it on the floor. So I would leave it to you, Honorable Senator, through the Speaker.
I think Senator Mohamed Faki, that's a good guidance, because I also felt it's a weight matter that it needs some good response.
Honorable Speaker, I agree with the CS that we need to put in a separate question. However, I have another small supplementary on affordable houses, Mr. Speaker.
You'll ask me during the next question.
Thank you.
Because actually it is related to the question by Senator Mohamed Faki. So let us have question number 017 by the Senator from Marsabit County.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Question 017. Could the Cabinet Secretary, 1, indicate the respective value of each parcel of government-owned land that has been designated for the affordable housing projects in Nairobi? Mombasa, Nakuru, and Kisumu counties, and indicate how many of the said parcels are currently being or have been developed since 2017. 2, state the value of parcel of land assigned to respective developers for the construction of affordable housing, and could the Cabinet Secretary indicate the project cost per square meter of each housing unit, as well as the interest rate to be charged to buyers of those units. 3, state how many of the houses under the project are under public-private partnership arrangements, and could the Cabinet Secretary state the respective percentage contribution of the government vis-a-vis the developers. Number 4, halt all transactions involving public land until mutually beneficial formula to both the government and developers is agreed upon. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Madam CS, respond to the 4 sections.
Honorable Speaker, may I allow me to take this opportunity to thank the Senate, the honorable members of the Senate, the entire Senate, for supporting the affordable housing levy bill that came through the Senate. After an elaborate discussion, we have now a law that was assented to on 19th of March by His Excellency. Thank you very much for your participation and approval. Honorable Speaker, the question by the Honorable Senator for Marsabit, and I also appreciate that he's on board because he has even tendered an apology. We should be able to work together. Since 2017, Honorable Speaker, the government, I want to go to the 4 questions. I think his question is in 4 parts, as you have rightly pointed out, Honorable Speaker. The first one, of course, he's asking me to indicate the value of each parcel of government-owned land that has been designated for affordable housing projects in Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, and Kisumu counties, and indicate how many of the parcels are currently being or have been developed since 2017. Since 2017, the government has identified and designated about 575 land parcels, totaling to about 12,000 acres distributed across the country. These parcels were submitted by the ministries, individual ministries, counties, departments.
Sorry, Madam CS.
Yes.
Because this, I can see your response is quite long,
Yes.
and very elaborate. So I wanted to get from the honorable member whether he has been able to go through this response so that we can save some time.
Thank you,
And
Honorable
if you have, which
Yes.
specific section do you feel that you need?
Then I can be directed to that.
To
Yes.
that particular part of
Thank you,
response.
Honorable Speaker. I'm satisfied
Because
with
let me finish.
the answers.
Let me finish.
Yeah,
Because the way you have really appreciated and you also said you are now on board. It's like this question was before. You asked this question before, now you came on board with that act.
Honorable Speaker, I've gone through the answers, and I'm happy and comfortable with the answers, but I have supplementary questions.
You have no, yeah, good. Then if there is any other member on affordable housing, like Senator, first to inquire to Senator Mohamed Faki. You said you have no supplementary questions.
I have supplementary questions.
Oh, okay. Just ask your supplementary questions so that it can be specific.
Thank you.
Minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Article 43(1)(b) is very clear on the issue of settling people. And I wanted the Cabinet Secretary to note that we had former Buxton tenants who in fact brought a petition to this House. And I am in the Committee of Housing, Roads and Housing, and we decided and agreed that these people should be resettled, 184 in number, to be given the first priority to be resettled in Buxton Estate. I would want the Cabinet Secretary to tell us if these people are going to be settled, when they are going to be settled, and if she can give an appointment through this House for those people to come and sit with her and finalize this matter. The other issue I have is on rural housing. The cabinet secretary is aware that we've passed the amended law has the component of rural housing. I want to know, in her regulations, what is she going to do for those people who cannot afford urban housing, who want to settle in Marsabit, Isiolo, Wajir, and all those places? How is she going to cater for those people that can be settled in those areas? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Madam CS.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Senator has been following on the issue of the tenants that had occupied the land in the Buxton project in Mombasa. They are 184, according to the Honorable Senator. If these people have leadership, because I don't want to confirm that you can bring 184 people into my office, but if they have leadership, then the leadership can actually visit me, or you wait when I go to Mombasa, because maybe I can plan better, go to Mombasa and we deal it at that level instead of them coming all the way to Nairobi. So then we can see what issues are still remaining. But in the meantime, those issues can be documented and forwarded to me through your office, Honorable Senator, or through the leadership. I suppose these people have some leadership. Through their leadership, they can document the issues, send to me, and then looking at the issues, then I'll be able to make a decision to either visit, go to Mombasa, and we have a meeting there in Mombasa. On the question of rural housing, Honorable Speaker, I think this was a provision that this Senate found necessary in our affordable housing law. And we obviously, as a ministry, our work is to implement. We are preparing the regulations, and for me, I think what is important is, I believe Senate will be part of that preparation. I may not be able to give a concrete answer, because this will require us to examine materials, technology, and the budget, and of course the probability. How do we, in terms of economics of scale, how do we manage to, who and how do we deal with in terms of our rural setup? As you can imagine, we are talking about the whole country. There will be need for a budget. We need to rationalize, and we need to see what is suitable. And whatever material that government puts in money on, that material must also be put in the code, the building code that approves materials. And actually, the building code is coming to the House. And therefore, it's not an answer that you can get immediately, but it is something that we will all work on. Of course, we need to look at technology as part of the solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Senator Onyonka, Richard.
Mr. Speaker, the reason why you saw I was nearly becoming anxious was because I have not had an opportunity to meet the CS before she became the CS, because the last time I was with her, she was making a political commentary on TV, and she was saying, we will win and you will lose. And I said, no, you will lose and we will win. And then she told me, in fact, Uhuru and his friends and everybody will go. And then I'm shocked now. The other side is now telling Mama Ngina, sorry, we are coming to be with you, sorry. So I was excited, Mr. Speaker, to see her, because I have utmost respect for her. Madam CS, I also want to sincerely thank you for confirming Mr. Nyandoro. You know, he happens to come from where he does, but I'm happy that you looked at meritocracy and agreed to give the best qualified person the job. I really thank you for that. Mr. Speaker, the supplementary question I'm asking the CS is maybe suggestive. Would the minister be comfortable to actually confirm to this House that the issues that are bedeviling the Ministry of Lands and the land question in this country is because of very simple things. For example, we have no spatial planning, which is completed. We do not know which pieces of land were allocated and who allocated them and whether they suffice on the legality of their existence. That the issues that you have that are in Kitale right now about prisons land are really questions which are historical. And that the challenges we have is that the institutions that are supposed to function, and indeed one of those institutions is her ministry, has been unable to perform and deliver on the issue of land. Would the minister be comfortable to tell this House whether therefore it's possible that she can make sure that in the shortest time possible we have spatial planning, and so that we can be able to do what the Rwanda government has done? And Mr. Speaker, what is shocking, or maybe not shocking, is that the people who did the spatial planning for the country known as Rwanda are Kenyans, and they are known. Is it possible that we can also do that so that when somebody is buying land, or when somebody has been allocated land, or when somebody is having a problem with their land, they can immediately have the detail, the size of the land, the location of the land, the value of the land, and any development on that land? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Madam CS.
Honorable Speaker, I want to take the commendation and the congratulatory note from the Honorable Senator in humility, because he knows that we did very many debates with him at the national television, and many times he would get very upset with my contributions, but that was for debate purposes, and I warned him severally. He refused to listen, and I hope that I have permission to speak like that on this floor, but I hope he can...
Around the two of you to exchange that presently.
Thank you, thank you. I hope he will read the signs now early, so that then we can be on the same page. And suffice to say that he is a very ardent, very able debater, and we really benefited, all of us, from his contributions during the debates. May I say, Honorable Speaker, that he raises very fundamental issue in terms of what is ailing the entire ministry in respect of especially then the land tenure, land security. The question of land security is critical, is key, and as we plan, we are planning with that in mind, because we would want to guarantee security of tenure and security of records. And that's why we have agreed as a government, as a ministry, to go digital, to digitize, to ensure that you can at least, the stories, even today, Honorable Speaker, as I stand here, I get very upset because then my officers know that I have said that there is no way you can give me a response that the file is missing. Whenever a file is missing, there is some funny business going on or some irregularities likely to be committed by disappearance of a file. But this is something that the country must also now agree, and I take the opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to urge the public not to take matters land security casually, and not to engage in buying land that they have not received a proper certification in terms of searches and record checks by the land registries. Having said that, I have also told the government officers managing our registries that they will take personal responsibilities. And we have so far, Honorable Speaker, taken, I think, 3 or 4. 2 are under suspension since I came in, and the 2 are already facing court charges because of irregular recording or documentation of land. Honorable, it's quite a task The answer will be technology, use of technology and digitization, and therefore, Honorable Senator, I believe as a country, that is something we must aspire, and that's what we should be looking forward to. I should be made, put to task to be able during my tenure to complete digitization. We have two types of spatial planning: the county spatial planning and the national spatial planning. The national spatial planning is basically complete. The challenge we are having is the county spatial planning, and the governors have not taken up this without appearing to accuse the counties. They have a challenge. Very few have taken up. I think, if I'm correct, about 10 counties are on course. The others are not on course. It's a very important aspect to have spatial planning, because if you don't, and then of course, if the spatial lack of planning is planning to fail, and therefore I am also calling upon the counties to take up this task very seriously. We are in the process also of doing necessary geospatial surveys, mapping, and georeferencing. This is an exercise that is going on. Cadastre preparations for purposes of us to be able to digitize. We have to use those two things, the cadastre preparation and of course georeferencing. Then we'll be able to resolve many disputes relating to even survey and the boundaries. And therefore, I think this government will be on course. That's where we need to put our money into in terms of these questions, and we will be able to deal with the land grabbers, maybe up to maybe 100% if need be. I have no tolerance with them. Some of them have called me arrogant, Honorable Speaker, even if they are facing court cases for whatever. I know some of them are very unhappy, but some of them are also very influential, and therefore we need to just use our documentation properly so that we can keep away people who want to steal both public land and private land. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a long number one question from Onyonka, because it involved three parts: political, social, and then the question. Honorable Senators, we have 4 senators on the queue, and we didn't need to close with the CS for lands. I want to share maybe 1.5 minutes each, every member. And Honorable CS, if you don't have the exact question, you can even go and give the answers later.
Later, yes.
So that we can make some progress. So, Senator Bazishek.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to ask that CS, that among the proposed units, which is actually under construction already, is Wajir. Wajir, I've seen some houses under construction in Wajir Township. So may I know how many units is being built in Wajir Township? How many floors will those houses go? Because Wajir has actually many challenges in terms of, the solid structure and sanitation problems and sewage, because of the high level of water. Wajir is still experiencing sewage problems. So I don't know whether the project has considered all those factors which have been undertaken now, because sewage problem, Wajir has no sewage. It has sewage problems, it has water problem, and the solid structure actually is sandy. And if you will be building, houses with high-rise houses, you might experience some challenges. So I wanted to know how many there are, what is actually the height of this, how many floors, and whether you have taken care of any consideration of the sewage systems and all these things that do not exist in Wajir now.
So I want to know from the CS whether that's a question you can answer now, or maybe you provide the answer later to the Honorable Senator.
The Wajir, we have 220 units that are coming up, 220 units of different categories. The original design is for social, affordable, and a few market units, and therefore that one is on course. Let me say that for purposes of this House, that we shall have county projects at county level, but we shall also have constituency level projects. This Wajir is one of the constituency level. I say constituency because we are also using constituency as a unit to ensure equitable distribution of these projects, because for us, they mean a lot. For the people of Kenya, they mean a lot because they mean employment, they mean economic sparring, and they mean a lot of economic activities around the projects, including employing the youths. Single project like this one will have between 300 and 400 youths, not forgetting the other issues that arise, people working, the shops around receive this money, it's not a bad project. So every constituency will have, and we will endeavor to do that in the course of our term, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator Derito John. Can you? 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For me, I want to congratulate the minister and to ask her, apart from the regulations that were mentioned by Chute concerning the rural affordable housing, for that to be very effective, Mr. Speaker, we need to ensure that we provide land ownership documents to the owners of the land. I just wanted to know what is she doing, and especially to the people living in the slums, because they're the people who need even those homes more than the other people. Mr. Speaker, you come to places like Laikipia, you go to a village called Maina village, they don't have title deeds. You go to a place like Rikie, Majengo, they don't have their title deeds. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to know, apart from those villages in Laikipia, what's she doing concerning the land ownership, for especially those people living in the villages and in rural areas, Mr. Speaker? Thank you.
Madam CS.
When you say villages, Honorable Senator, if you mean colonial villages, I had already answered that question and said that during my tenure, I'm going to finish titling for all the colonial villages. Now, villages or areas like Kwamaina or Maina, I know where it is, and there are many like that where titling is a problem because most of the time the land does not belong to the people living there. There are parcels of lands or land just given to them either by the chiefs or by people who just come and grab and they start issuing titles in wherever they find empty land. It is not easy to first issue titles because any titles do follow planning. And the way most of those houses are built, you'll find that even planning for roads, for sewerage purposes or facilities becomes very complicated. But I'm aware that minor area of between Nyandarua, is it Nyandarua or is it in Laikipia? It's in Laikipia. We have been asked to do titling, and we are looking at it. Honorable Senator, I can give you details of whether that will be done. And it's quite a task, but we will endeavor to see, because also the cases of how small can you go in terms of the parcel of land also becomes a big challenge. Some people own places that are not even 0.000 something, and therefore you can imagine that it is not an easy task. But and policy, I'm coming back to this House before June with the national land policy. So I think I have answered that question. Sure. In terms of regulations, you can help us to think through, because we'll be coming to you. Honorable Speaker, I did not answer the question on water and sanitation and sewerage by Honorable Senator for Wajir, but he knows that that issues of sewerage, where we build, Honorable Senator, where we have a project, we endeavor to provide necessary facilities working with other government agencies, whether it is water or sewerage. we will ensure, of course, there is connectivity, and if there is no sewerage, then we will be able to provide necessary sewage system for that specific project. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Mohamed Faki.
Honorable Speaker, my question is regard to the affordable housing. There are members of the civil service or public service who are staying in the Mbotela estates in Nairobi, Shauri Moyo, and part of Jogoo Road, where they have been issued with notices to vacate their houses for construction of new units. Honorable Speaker, these units were constructed about 10 years ago during the Kibaki administration, and they are fairly modern and new houses. And I'm wondering, why is the government demolishing such units at a time when people do not have houses? Thank you.
Can I combine with the supplementary question from the Nairobi Senator? Maybe it might involve the same projects.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When the CS appeared before us as the Housing Committee, we did explain to her our objections to the Housing Act and explain to her that it was on principle. I'm sure she's aware that we in the minority are still going to ask the courts to have the last say, led by Senator Umtata. Mr. Speaker, the question that was raised by my colleague from Mombasa, Faki, in fact, the ministry has given the residents of Jogoo Road Phase 1 and 2, Jamaa, Mbotela, Ahero, and Mawenzi Gardens to vacate their houses by the end of April that is 30th April 2024. And if you see the notice that has been sent to residents, contains a clause here that says that tenants will be accorded priority to purchase or rent a house once the redevelopment is complete. In addition to the question that has been raised by Faki, because, Mr. Speaker, if you see, I have a photo of those houses here. These are not houses that you can compare to the houses, say, in Lumumba Estate that were built in the 50s. These houses are less than 10 years old. What is the rationale of demolishing such houses to build something that will look exactly like this, Mr. Speaker? We believe it is a wastage of public resources. Number two, Mr. Speaker, can the CS confirm whether there are agreements that have been signed by this, between the ministry and these residents that will guarantee them what the ministry is saying in these notices? Because, Mr. Speaker, this was the same story in Buxton that the residents were told. When the houses were built, it became another story. And because we said we don't want another Buxton, I want the CS to assure me as the Senator of Nairobi that agreements have been signed with the current residents of these estates that they will actually be given first priority when the units are rebuilt. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. That's the last supplementary question for the to the CS lands. So summarize that question, the two questions from the two senators. Then we call it a day.
I think the questions are basically the same. The two questions regarding Shauri Moyo, Botera, the various estates that we gave along Jogoo Road, that we gave notices for people to vacate. We have had, we have been, because we also listen, as a government, as a ministry, we listen. And I know this question was raised by Honorable Senator for Nairobi when I appeared before them, before the passing of the housing levy bill. I believe he's now on board. If he's not, I'm sure he'll soon be on board. I hope he'll be on board because this housing program is a useful project for the people of Kenya. I want to say that for the Botera, Shauri Moyo, we are coming up with various projects there because the land is a lot and the number of people using those houses, and those houses, you agree with me, Honorable Senator, Honorable Members, through the Speaker, that they are houses that do not hold a total of maybe 3,000 or 2,000 people. But when you look at the entire land and what we can do with affordable housing, I think it would be in putting the land into better use, because we also, as a ministry, manage the land, and the land use is under my docket. Therefore, we have agreed this Monday and also last week, my teams from the ministry, Department of Housing, visited these places, and there is an agreement. I have been advised that the residents are now in agreement, and we are extending the notice to October, November, depending on where October, November, and we have also agreed that we shall give them relocation, we shall facilitate relocation as people affected by the project. It's a small amount of money, and I believe His Excellency has expressed himself on that. As a ministry, we do provide some little amount of money for relocation. You can pay your rent, depending on the agreement in each particular place. Between 6 months and 1 year, we are able to provide the rent for similar, or at least noting that many of them are even paying rent where they are, and they are able to tell us how much rent they are paying. So we give that for 6 months, and there is an agreement, and the notice will be extended, and it will be in writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think
Madam
I've
CS.
answered the entire question.
Yes. So that is the end of the question and answer session from the CS Lands and Housing. So thank you very much, Madam CS, for your very elaborate answers. And the member who is happy today is the Senator for Nairobi. He's a very happy man because of all his issues have been addressed professionally. So thank you very much for your time. Welcome back to the Senate any other time that we request you to avail yourself. So asante sana.
Thank you,
good
thank
work
you.
that you are doing to the Kenyans.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you.
Myself and my team. Yeah.
Definitely. When I refer to you, it's your entire team and the family. So, Honorable Senators, we have now the CS for Energy, who is coming for the Senate. Maybe he should be ushered in. He has 2 questions. From the Senator for Kirinyaga, James Murango, and the Senator for Marsabit County, Senator Mohamed Chute. So I don't know whether you have instructions. So thank you very much. Welcome the Energy CS. Thank you for finding time to come before the Senate. You are a frequent visitor to the Senate, and we really thank you that you have time. You don't postpone when you ask to come. So that is a good indication that you are very ready to serve this country. So we go to the first question from the member for Kirinyaga County. Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question number 007 on behalf of the distinguished Senator for Kirinyaga, Senator James Murango. 1. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware of the breakdown of over 15 government-owned power transformers in Kirinyaga County between March and September 2023? And if so, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the reasons behind it? And 2, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the inordinate delay in replacing defective power transformers in Kirogo, Maendeleo, and Liagishiru village?